Hello and welcome to this video presenting the initial version of the ACUMEN Digital Twin. The video will showcase the different core services offered by the Digital Twin, one after another. The first service is the login function. To access the Digital Twin, you need an account with a username and password. If you don't have an account, just click "Not registered yet?" to request one. Enter a username and password, then click the Register button. The DT administrator then receives the request and can validate it. Once the account has been validated, you can log in to the Digital Twin. If the administrator has not granted you access to the services offered by the Digital Twin, the message "No services granted" will appear. Management of services is a core feature of the Digital Twin. It allows new services to be recorded, displays the existing available services, and grants access rights to users based on their roles. The Management of Services service is accessible to the platform administrator. The administrator has access to the list of available services, including the route ID, the endpoint name, the service name, a short description, information on whether it is associated with a user interface, and the public endpoint. The available services may include back-end services, which are necessary for managing the platform, or front-end services, which are accessible to regular users. How is a user granted access to a service? To grant access to a service, the Role Manager function must be selected. This displays all the roles defined by the administrator, a short description of each role, the access rights associated with the roles, and the users assigned to each role. To edit a role, click the pencil icon next to the role. This will open an edit window, in which you can update the role description, services, and access the rights and users assigned to the role. To show an example, let's add the previously created New User Test to the ACUMEN Data Provider role. Then, save the modification. Now, let's verify that the new user test is associated with the role, and it is. How is a new service integrated into the Digital Twin? Simply click the New button in the Service Management interface. This will open a window for us to fill in all the service parameters. Let's create the HTTP bin service by completing all the mandatory fields. In the HTTP methods field, we need to select the HTTP method that will be associated with the service. It's also possible to specify whether the service is associated with a graphical user interface or not. A JSON template is also available to transfer parameters to the service. In our case, we'll leave it empty. Don't forget to save the changes. The service has now been created and added to the existing services. Finally, from the Role Management tab, we can associate a role with this new service and define the permissions granted to the role. To verify whether the service has been created correctly and access granted to this specific role, we can check that it appears on the left panel with the other services. Back-end services without a user interface are only accessible via the API, not the graphic user interface. The scenario service will be explained in the follow-up of this presentation. The Data Manager is a key core service. It allows users to create datasets, load datasets, and make them available for various services. When a user logs into the Digital Twin, the available datasets are displayed. A dataset is associated with a description, a category, an owner, tags, a license, and a type. The categories, tags, licenses, and dataset types are editable by the Digital Twin administrator. A search bar makes it easier to find a specific dataset when many datasets have already been uploaded. It is possible to explore a dataset easily by opening it in a new page. Let's, for instance, inspect the test dataset. We can see that there is currently one version of this dataset, and it contains one CSV file. How is a new dataset created? First, click the New button at the top of the page. This will open a new window into which the characteristics of the new dataset must be entered. These include the name, description, categories, tags, type of license, if any, and type of dataset. Users are allowed to create new tags themselves if necessary. The second step of the creation process concerns the description of the uploaded files, with the option to add an acknowledgement and some instructions. Files can be uploaded in different ways, as individual files, zipped folders, or even as uploads from external URLs. Let's select individual files. This opens a file browser where you can select one or more files to upload from your computer. The selected files are displayed in the frame, and the Upload Files button allows you to proceed with the upload. Returning to the list of datasets, we can see that the dataset has been created with the relevant tags and categories. It is also possible to visualize the dataset in a separate window, along with its different versions. For now, only one version has been created automatically. The data set can be edited by clicking the Edit button. Save the updates and see the results. Using the magnifying glass icon, you can preview the data comprising the dataset. You may also download the entire dataset by clicking the Download File button. This will download a zip file containing the complete dataset to the location selected on the file server or disk. Creating a new version of the file is straightforward and follows the same process. Once version 2 has been created, you may upload the desired data file, again as an individual file, a zip file, or an external URL. When you reopen the dataset, you can see that it now consists of 2 versions, with each version containing its own set of files. Finally, it is possible to delete the complete dataset. In this case, a pop-up will appear for you to confirm your choice. Scenario management is also a crucial core component of the digital twin. In the Scenario Management tab, a new scenario is created by clicking the New button on the top right. In the New Scenario window, you must identify the scenario with a name, description, and type. Afterwards, a sub-scenario must be created. This scenario within a scenario allows you to compare different mobility options for a unique situation. For instance, if you want to study the impact of a tunnel closure, you may create sub-scenarios dedicated to different conditions: the closure of one lane, the closure of a lane in the opposite direction, and the closure of all lanes. Once the sub-scenario has been created, the scenario steps need to be defined. In this demonstration, there is only one step which consists of running a simulation tool. A JSON file allows you to provide parameters for the simulation. Important parameters include the name of the simulator and the input file for the simulation. Once created, the sub-scenario can be executed in the digital twin. Click the Execute button to launch it. Running a scenario may take some time. During the execution phase, it is not possible to view the results. Once the execution is complete, the View button becomes active, allowing the results to be displayed. The last core function presented in this video is the display of the trajectory resulting from the scenario. This 2D visualization is already working, but has not yet been integrated into the digital twin. This will be done in the coming weeks. The first operation available in the viewer is, of course, the launch of the trajectories. This is done by clicking the arrow in the control panel on the bottom left. On the screen, we see some vehicles, represented by red dots, moving through Innsbruck. This provides an overview of the network with all vehicles. It is possible to move the map with the mouse and zoom in and out. Another functionality is the possibility of following a specific vehicle. This is done by clicking on the vehicle. The vehicle is identified by a partial green frame. A pop-up also appears in the top right corner with information about the vehicle. The movement of the vehicles is activated using the right arrow on the control panel. It is possible to rewind and fast-forward the video. This is done by selecting the left or right arrows as shown on the screen. The vehicle's speed can also be controlled using the circular slider. It is very easy to use. It is also easy to use the mouse to navigate the screen, tilt the map, and create a sense of depth. The visualization also allows different types of vehicles to be represented with various icons, such as small red circles for trams and blue dots for cars. This can be seen in a simulation conducted in Athens. We can again isolate a vehicle and see how it moves. Finally, the latest option implemented is the ability to display two scenarios simultaneously. For example, simulated trajectories in Innsbruck and Athens. It could also be possible to have two simulations in Athens using different simulation tools, or the same simulator with different parameters. This concludes the presentation of the initial version of the digital twin. Thank you for your attention.